Let's see how we go. Time for this laptop to bend over. Let's see if we're not competing with a Lewis Rossman stream anywhere. Oh well. Guess people will catch up when they catch up. Oh, g'day Greg, alright, now I know I'm live, so that's what matters most. Alright. Let's see. Probably a quiet day. Everybody's passed out after their hard Monday of work. And here I am starting Tuesday. Oh well. Anyway, I've got this Toshiba L750, came in this morning. Person says that it's just crashed and died. Not really very good description beyond that, I suppose. But given the model and the age, I'm suspecting it's probably overheating. May have hard drive issues, but more than likely it's an overheat. So I'm just going to pop this open. Not really going to be able to see the diagnostics, but oops, it's HDMI port. Let's get this thing up. It seems to boot straight up anyway. Well, I certainly hope it's just a overheating problem. I don't want it to be anything else. Oh wow, there's still tape on these hinges. Brilliant. Oh, it's really quiet out there. Looks like everybody did pass out. I'm just running the burning program. See what the temperatures are. And I'm already up to 80 degrees. Let's see if I can flip this on its back. Hey Joshua, Gregory. We go there, we're up to 82, 81, 79, 78. Don't know what my CPU is. Rather, I don't know what my percentage of CPU is. We're running 100%. Yeah, we're already in the 90s. So, yeah, that's going to be an overheating issue. Okay, shut it down. Gregory, the microscope has been ordered, and now it's a case of waiting for it to be delivered. I'm not sure how long that's going to take. Okay, you're out of here. Don't need you, don't need you. All we need here is a screwdriver and... oh look, battery's coming out. That's nice. Screwdriver. the hard drive out. Take the panel off. 11 p.m. Yeah. So I imagine most people are just recovering from their Monday of work. And I am recovering from waking up from a hard night's sleep. So we're gonna. This is an i7. It's a fairly hefty machine. Alright, let's get these screws out. Most likely we've just got a bunch of lint building up. The other possibility is that maybe the thermal compound has dried up, given how old the machine is. Hey Lisa? Yeah, unfortunately I'm not all bling bling with my video streaming compared to, say, what Chris Long's been doing the last couple of days. The guy's gone all out. I wasn't able to buy a camera for the microscope with the order. Well, I could have purchased a camera with the microscope. I could have got a 5 megapixel USB 3. But the general consensus was that the cameras that they provide, or at least that particular type, generally are quite underwhelming. So I didn't really want to spend $200 extra on something that I'd probably end up throwing away pretty quickly. So I just have to save up a little bit more, get a decent one with HDMI output probably, and then I'll need an HDMI capture, and yeah, it just keeps going on and on and on. Not sure if I need to disconnect those Wi-Fi cables yet. Just making sure I don't have any more screws. Doesn't look like it. Okay, flip it over. Impeccable timing as usual. Oh, what, you're about to go have dinner or go to the potty or something like that? Tell you what, couriers and customers know when I'm going anywhere near the bathroom. Gotcha. As soon as I'm committed, ding dong, ding dong. Ah. Very good reason to have a second person in your business. What are you doing? Hey Mako, how you doing? All right. So pretty happy that I've got the microscope ordered. I did pay a pretty penny for the postage to Australia. That was just a wee shy of $300 US. The camera itself, I mean the microscope itself, was only a bit under 600, so it's a bit brutal. Well, most of that cost comes from the fact that it's got a 10 kilo or 15, however heavy that base is. And when you get that sent through air freight, then yeah, it hurts. Especially given that it's just a big lump of metal. It's not even anything fancy. I had considered maybe just buying the microscope head alone, along with the whatever lenses I needed. But in the end I thought, look, just spend the money once off, get everything, and Yeah, then you don't have to worry about it again. For some reason my fingers are not... I haven't got enough fingernails. God damn. I've been stress picking at my fingernails, and now I've got nothing left to disassemble the laptop. Come on, come on. Great. Well, the fan looks a bit dusty, so we might well be lucky. Yeah, Mako, the actual cost of the unit stayed well below 1,000 Australian. Cumulatively, with the freight, the shipping cost, it was over 1,000. I was going to put a .7 Barlow onto it, but that would have... I didn't even do that, and I still was over. I'm trying to decide what I can get away with on this fan. I've got 3 small screws here. I might be able to take them out, lift the metal plate off, rather than having to take the mainboard out. Oh man, this has got an NEC token cap on it. I hope it wasn't that. I'm pretty sure it wasn't that. It's a different form of it. Any of you who've... Oh, that sucker's clean. That's clean as. Yeah. There's no real notable build-up on that. Maybe the fan impeller itself is a bit weak. Oh, that's no good. I was hoping for a nice big cluster of lint. Mako, the camera is it attaches onto the trinocular port, the third port, which is on the back of the microscope behind the stereo pieces. It's got the port there and the mount adapter, but it's not. There's no camera populating it, so I just have to get a camera to populate it. Oh man. I'm going to power this up and see if we've got a fan motor issue or a thermal compound issue. I really should just do it anyway, but how do I want to waste my time today? Do I spend 5 minutes testing it or 5 minutes pulling it out? Okay. Oh, thank God the on-off switch is there. Yeah, Joshua, I hope it will pay for itself fairly quickly. I do have some small level of fear that maybe Hey, where's my screen? Is it not ready? Oh, idiot. It helps when the power switch flex is actually connected to the board. Now let's try. That's better. Yeah, Greg, the Australian dollar is roughly about what the Canadian is. We're on 79 cents at the moment. Well, the fan spins. It seems pretty good. Oops, far out, wrong one. So I can only imagine I've got a thermal compound issue. Well, that's annoying. Yeah, as I've ordered the microscope right now, it's only got the it has no Barlow or anything like on that, so it's only got the 4 inches of working room. For yeah, some people are fine with that, some aren't. But to get the Barlow was another $40, $50 or whatever, and I just wasn't sure whether I would need it. So I wanted to see, and it's no real great penalty for me to get it later, other than the fact that I may just have to wait a little bit longer. And I can get them from AliExpress or Amazon. What is going on there? I'm actually very surprised with this machine that it's there's no build up on the fan. I really hope this isn't. Just realised one worry is that it could be that the heat pipe itself has died. You don't get it very often, but it does happen. Usually what happens is it develops some sort of a leak. Wow, this is really, really bonded down. I'm going to use my knife to cut through that. Oh, yeah. And of course, now that I'm getting the microscope, everything else has to jump up to follow suit, so I'm going to have to change my soldering station to something like a Hako 951. And yeah, this just has a cascade effect. It's a bit like when you put a better engine in your car, and then all of a sudden you've got to have a better gearbox, and then you need a better drivetrain, and then you need a better diff, and yeah, one thing leads to another. Wow. This board has an obsession with this adhesive tape. Come on. Okay. It's probably going to want those Wi-Fi cables disconnected. Okay, should be fine. The joys of PC laptops. Every single one's different. What else have we got? There we go. Now this does have a GPU on it, so that's going to add to the fun. Okay. 7, 6, 5, 4. And make sure to remind me to plug the fan power lead back in when I'm done. I've done that before. Well, it doesn't look overly bad. which concerns me, because it leans now more towards it being a failed heat pipe. Alright. Oops. That was interesting. The Australian dollar was over the US dollar at one point, quite a few years ago. It was a good time to be buying things. Dreadful time to be an exporter. Given that Australia is predominantly an export country, or at least, you know, we have our raw materials, minerals and things like that, because we're too stupid to do our own innovative home stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, we've got some very smart people in Australia, but the government just doesn't approve of such things. And so 90% of our good stuff tends to end up in the United States, or nowadays Asia, and then it's sold back to us at a premium. So Australia really needs to lose that mentality. But it seems like any time there's a smart Australian or something like that, and they've got an innovative idea, it's like, you can't do that. That's un-Australian, mate. You gotta just be a mining, digging grunt like the rest of us. Get out of here. Which is sad. But, like I said, it's something that mentality has been around for a long time, and it's cost us quite a lot of things. Alright, those surfaces are good. I'll clean up these ones. Yeah, Cryogen. Yeah, the HPs definitely belong in the bin. The Toshibas, I get along with the Toshibas just fine. The HPs drive me insane. At least with the Toshiba, when you open up the case, when you take the top deck off, everything's there. You can access it. HP, it's like, congratulations, you've made the first level. Now it gets harder. It's like, you bastards. Okay. I'm just scraping off the heat paste into the bin. Yeah, it's not particularly dry or anything either. I mean, it's a little bit crumbly, but not to the point where this sort of temperature issue would come up. It's going to be a pain if it is a heat pipe, because I don't know if I can get this particular one overnight. The coloration on the CPU heat pipe is quite different to that of the GPU heat pipe, so I'm not sure if that's an indicator of anything, or whether they just came about through different manufacturing processes. Alright. I'm really not a fan of the integrated, of the separate GPUs in laptops. I mean, I can understand why they do it, but I think the problem is too many people get sold these laptops with the separate GPUs, and they don't even know why they're buying them, as in, they're just, whatever the salesman tells them, they go for. Gotta go get my heatsink compound. Alright. And watch me put... Me with heatsink compound is like Lewis with flux. I always end up way too much on there. Fortunately, at least this stuff compensates for morons like me who put too much on. It's designed to have excess and then you just squeeze it out. But back in the old days, I'd have to spend quite a bit of time flattening it out, scraping it off, flattening it out, scraping it off, till I got it right. Oops, scratch my nose. Good thing it's not conductive. Okay. Heat pipe not plugged with head. No, it's not. No, I wish it was. I really was hoping that there would be an issue, like a build up here, but no, there's nothing. It was amazingly clean. Oops, bit of junk there. The other problem I have with these dual ones is that I can't do my usual trick for smoothing out the paste so easily on these ones. Because like if I pressure down and wiggle like that, usually what it does is it will form a bond, like a vacuum seal bond. But now when I go to, it doesn't work as well because I've got the second chip to work on. Oh well, so there you go. Yeah, it just probably isn't even going to work, and I'm going to need to do everything again because of the heat pipe. Okay. Oh yeah, I remember to plug the fan in. Make sure I don't break it off by accident. Okay, there we go. Yeah, Robert, I told you I wasn't joking. Like I said, that stuff squeegees out. It's very much like the one that they have on there. It's not like the old days where you pretty much had to put it on a bluing table and run it flat. But of course, there are people I've seen who do even worse, and they like just empty half a tube on there, and then, well, better yet, take the. Fortunately, you can't do it on laptops, but at least not usually. Take the CPU off, squish all that heatsink transfer compound into the socket, and then attach your CPU again. Ah, you idiot! Go on, under you go. At this point, I just need to test. Because I mean, certainly theoretically, practically, the transfer compound only needs to fill the voids, the pits, the tiny little gaps between the two metals surfaces. But yeah, what it's supposed to be and what you do, yeah, nice difference of actualities. There we go. Certainly if the compound was the sort that needed me to flatten it down like on a bluing table, then sure. But that one says keep it thick, spread it around, you'll be right, and I'm fine with that. Okay. Keep putting that into the HDMI socket. I need a keyboard. What do we got? Keyboard number 4. So number 5 is not live today. I'm really not with it this morning. Forgot to put the power lead in. Alright, you're good. as always, it helps if you plug that in too. Use an old credit card and pull the layer thin on it. Hey, Pernov. Pernov, I need to catch up with the open board view stuff. I've got all the new little bits and pieces I want to add in, but that is the wrong keyboard. But you guys doing all that CMake and build stuff, I'm like, I have no idea what you're doing. Yeah, CryJ, that's pretty much it. Johnny5, Never Live. Alright, let's see. Like I said, I am strongly suspecting it's going to be a heat pipe. Idling at 40 at the moment. 38, 40. Yeah, we're already in the 70s. It's not a good sign. 80. Now that said, I can feel the elements are getting quite hot. Actually it's holding 88, 89. No, just pushed into 90. I don't know. I mean, it broke over 100 degrees before I shut it down. 94, 90. The GPU, hilariously, is just sitting at 55 degrees. It does seem to have stabilized at 90. Still blimmin' hot. I'm pretty sure this must be one of the original... this is going to be an original i7, I'd say. Maybe a second generation, but I'd say an original. Cat... Proc... CPU... Info. No, second generation. It's an i7 2670, 2.2 gigahertz QM. It's still way hot for what I'd like. But it could be a case of Toshiba didn't really factor in this. Oh man. It's an Intel, yeah, Greg, yeah. Yeah, I have to replace the whole assembly. But the only thing I found weird on this, I can feel the GPU's getting pretty hot too now. When I was looking at that fan before, they have a great big void on the underside here. Not right here, but on the underside on the bottom of the chassis, which could result in a lot of blow-off out that doesn't go through the radiator fans. But then that would really be a design flaw, not really a fault as such. As in not a fault that should have just manifested recently. Okay, shut down. Still way hot for my liking. Alright. I mean, I know they do run hot, but normally not that hot. Typically most of the Toshibas that I get here, they'll run up to 80, maybe 85, and then they'll settle down at that. Pushing 90, 95, but like I said, this is a older i7, so it's probably not entirely out of the realm of possible. So it just does concern me a little bit. Okay, you can see what I mean here about the cooling system. Maybe you can't. So normally with these fan plates at the bottom, they'll go right up to the radiator fins, and then you'll have a piece of plastic over the top, Captain tape or something like that, to make sure that all the air is pushed through. But this one doesn't. This one's got these bleed holes here, and I don't think they're even intentional. It's just, I don't know. And on the underside, it's just blunt plastic chassis, so I'd be losing a lot of efficiency through there. So I'm kind of tempted to put some tape over that and just try and improve it a little bit. Now, obviously the engineers would have had a pretty good idea of what they're doing. I don't doubt that. It's not to say you can't improve on some things. Now, I don't want to damage these little bits on the side here. Okay, that's going to be a bugger. We're going to get a lot of blowout up here and here. I can see why they didn't bother. They probably felt like it was a bit of a lost cause. Yeah, where's my tape anyway? Captain tape. Robert, I don't think it is an aftermarket fan. It doesn't even feel like this machine has even been opened before, so I'd say it's most likely not. Like I said, it's pretty strange how broad those gaps are. It's, I mean, I know there's usually a bit of loss on the sides, understandably, just from practicalities, but that's fairly large. So I don't think I'm going to be able to improve too much on it, but we'll try. Don't you dare roll up on yourself. Don't you dare. We can try, Major. We can try. Okay. Kind of get the feeling they tried to use these rubber feet as a way to seal off the area. Okay. Probably not going to change much at all. But like I said, let's give it a whirl, see what the experiment results in. Worst case scenario, I can always just order a replacement assembly. At least then I'd know it'd be working. If it was a heat pipe failure, we would not tend to get so much heat up here. Although having the GPU on a separate heat pipe does complicate that detection issue, because it will be creating its own, and subsequently it does heat up the radiator assembly. So it could still be a heat pipe issue. To really test that, I need to flip the board over and run it. Anyway, we'll see how this goes. Oop, on we go. Where did I put my bloody keyboard again? Here we go. I'm looking at the wrong screen, holding the wrong mouse. Oh man, yeah. The people who use conductive thermal paste, like metallically conductive, electrically conductive, got to give them kudos for being brave. It's not something I would do. Not for the gains that you get. It's just not enough. Let's see how that one runs. Fans on full spin. Yeah, we're already in the 80s again anyway. 79, 80. And I'm not even running 100% CPU. There we go. What has this thing got, like 8 cores or something? Must have 8 thread capability. Well, it's helped a little bit. We're now sitting on 90, 89, 90. So it's like a degree or two. It's whoopee, whoopee, whoopee. Mako, so you later need to order the Barlow and the camera for the microscope. Well, I'm not sure yet if I'm going to need the Barlow. And if I do, I may consider the 0.7 Barlow rather than the 0.5. The 0.7 will take me from 100mm working to 133. So it's a little bit over an inch extra. It may be just the difference required, and that's really not making a difference, I gotta say, on this. Yeah, 91, 92. So overall, since when it came in, we've dropped about, let's say, 10 degrees. So that is a meaningful amount of improvement, but is it enough? I'm not sure. What I might do is I'll go check with my suppliers, see who has a replacement assembly, and if it's, say, less than $30 or something like that, I'll just get it ordered in overnight. 4-core, 8 thread, thank you, yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Yeah, Yeah, cool, Mac. That's what I was thinking with the 0.5, is it's sort of like too far the other way. It's having that, it's just way too much. I was kind of hoping they'd have something like a 0.66, which would give you 150 millimeter working area, but it seems all we've got is the 0.5 or the 0.75, so yeah. Not sure what you mean by that, Robert. It depends on which way you're going with the Barlow, because um, your field of view tends to open up if you go on the reduction Barlow. Anyway, I'm going to start out with just normal, and I'll take it from there. At least I'll be able to get the jobs done. That's what matters. And I'm used to working under such small working areas. Like when I use this thing, I have to get it down to around about the 100 millimeter distance. And to make it worse, is this has about that's got to be about 8-inch sort of distance around it for me to angle in under with that 4 inches, and I still managed to do it. So I think maybe 4-inch working area with the perhaps, what have they got, about 5-6 inch diameter. I should be okay. Yeah, it's slowly picking up. It's not picking up like it used to, but it's still slowly picking up. So I might go find out if I can get a replacement module. I don't have any of these in my pile of spares. That has always been the pain, is you can get the same sort of model, like in this case L750, but you have all the variants within that. In this case, this one's got the NVIDIA chipset on it. I'm kind of surprised it hasn't. That's interesting. It just dropped itself back down to 80. What took a dive there? Nothing took a dive. I'm down to 80, mid 80s now, and then it keeps coming up and down. So I'd say the CPU is throttling itself, even though it shows 100%. Oh, oh well. What I'll do is I'll put this all back together, see if it crashes and burns, and then take it from there. This is one of the ones that has a decent hinge set too. It's got the bracing metal plate there rather than straight into the plastic standoffs. Still can't believe they got the NEC token cap there. It's not the troublemaking one, but after the dramas they had with the A500, C300 series and all that with the NEC tokens, I'm surprised they even dared try them again. Greg, under load it's always on. I didn't try it without load. Yeah, let me power it up and let it go to BIOS and see what it does. I'm really taking my gloves off there. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. Well, she's off and spinning already. I'll check that BIOS. Oh, come on. Oh, that's weird. Let's see. Power management. Dynamic, turbo boost, blah 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 blah. It doesn't have a permanent fan spin on this one, even though it is running permanently. Well, given that that's running pretty close to full speed the whole time, I'm gonna take a shot in the dark and assume maybe the heat pipe has actually just started leaking. The power brick should be fine as far as I can tell. It certainly hasn't given me any indication that it has issues. I'd say it could be a case of it partially leaking, as there's just so many variables here. I'm just checking those screws. Yep, they're good. Alright. So I'll check with my supplier, see if they've got something for this particular variant. If they don't, then I will say to the customer, look, we've improved it slightly, but prepare for the worst. Yeah. And in which case, I guess that pretty much puts an end to this little stream, and I'll go back to my running around, and I'll keep pressing F5 on my courier tracking for the microscope. Like I said, I don't know how long it's going to take. It could be a week, could be 2 weeks. I've never tried this particular supplier, obviously, before. If things go well, then yeah, at least I know I can try them again in the future. Did you replace the thermal compound on the heatsink of the CPU? Yes, we did do that, Maker, and we put a hell of a lot of it on it, but fortunately it doesn't hurt it too much in this case. But I mean, like I said, I know the i7s run hot and everything, but then it shouldn't have been running that hot when it was just idling, or it shouldn't have been running the fan that hard when it was just idling. So yeah, I'll dig up. So I'm fairly sure I can find one of these for about $30, get it sent in and have a look. Cormac, it's under $1,000 for the actual product itself, so it should be okay. It should just come straight through. Thermal sensor on the build not working under the sensor, and if it was the thermal sensor not working, then I probably would expect to see the temperatures not really behave normally, whereas when I was looking at the graph of the temperature over time, it behaved within perfectly normal reason. Yeah, I don't think it would be that in this case. Alright, okay, I'm out of here. I gotta go do other things. But, yeah, sorry it wasn't a dramatically successful project, but there's something weird going on with that. So if I can get another heat pipe assembly, we'll try it. Who knows, might be better, might be the same. Oh well, anyway. Okay, until next time, I'll catch you later. Take care.